Hello everybody. So, like I said before, I promised I was going to paint a garage kit, and this is a garage kit. It depicts 11 or Elf from a pretty famous show. This kit is produced by Gilman's Garage, and that's Paul Gill and Mark Van Tine. They're on Facebook. I'll leave a link below. And it's sculpted by Jeff Yagher. All right, it's a really good sculpt by him. Captures her really good. I really like this one. It's a cute little kid. It's got a couple of waffles on the base. I think the base was sculpted by Mark Van Tine. I'm not sure. You check with Paul on that one. But Gilman's Garage, they're on Facebook. If you're interested, go get one. He also sculpted the #1, and this was released a few years ago. The #1 was released just recently. So hit him up on Facebook and check out all the other stuff that he has available. Alright, so we're going to paint her today. I'm going to use a lot of the same techniques. It's going to be all very much the same. If there's anything different, I'll let you know. But what I'm going to try to do with this video is try to keep it short and go a little fast forward on the things that you've already seen before. So if I got something new that I'm doing, I'm going to slow it down there. We're going to go over what I'm doing. And I'm trying to keep that a little bit shorter. But obviously this one was a little bit bigger as far as, this is a quarter scale. The face is a little bigger, so you got a little more real estate to work with on the face tones and stuff like that. So we're going to be working on her, and then we'll paint her jacket, her little dress, and all that, and the base. We'll finish that off. Alright, but this is what we're starting with today. I'm going to start working on this one. Hopefully I'll be able to finish the skin tones today, and I'll come back maybe tomorrow or a couple of days, and we'll finish up the rest of the thing. Try to keep the video short, like I said. Alright, so join me if you're interested. Alright, follow along or whatever. Got any questions or anything like that, always leave a comment below. Check out the links that I leave down below, because they'll reference to some of the things that I do here to people that I learned it from. Alright, and like I said before, just try to have fun with this stuff, and it's not really all that hard to do. Just got to get the technique down. Alright, so, and my previous video shows a little bit more detail of how I did skin tones and stuff like that. So if you want to go on to there and check it out. So let's go. Let's paint this baby. Okay, so now you're going to protect, after you put down the layer, you're going to protect it with UV clear and acrylic coating. Okay? And you're going to do this outside, do not do it inside. Step is going to be, we're going to do the washes. Alright, so I protected what I just did with UV clear, UV resistant clear acrylic coating. This is just a top coat. Okay, guys, you can use any type coat. I've been successful with this stuff, so that's what I've been using. I'm going to stick with it. All right, so we're going to start off with the yellow, like we did the last time. Then we're going to go to the blue, and then red, and then brown. No, brown for later, for something else. We're going to use 3 colors. A blue, which is the wrong one. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we're going to use yellow. And then move on and do 3 colors. Protect between coatings with your top coat, between each coating. So like we did the last time, just following along. Just always protect what you did before. Okay? All right, and this stuff you're gonna thin down really. Just I'm putting just one drop of yellow. So this stuff bites really, really, and they're gonna put a little bit of water in there. I use bottled water. All right. I'm gonna mix it and thin it down really good. I'm gonna get. All right, so now we're gonna do the freckling. Okay, with the brush. I got an angle brush. Okay, to do this. All right, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna let me get this situated. Sorry. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna dip it um, I already have the red there that I was happy with the little freckling that it naturally did when I did the wash. But now I'm going to go back to the yellow, the blue, and I got a brown. The brown is the ones that we used before. All right. So the brown is this one right here, which is Agrax Earthshade. Okay. That's the brown that I'm using. All right. So I'm going to do yellow, blue, and brown. And I also have on the side, I have a couple cotton swabs ready to go. Okay. And what I do is I dip them into like some thinner and just keep it damp and one side dry. Same thing with this one. I have the point here. I'm going to dip it into the thinner, have it ready to go. And that's what you're going to do is don't leave anything big. Leave the little ones in there. But if you get big or like a big blotch of a bunch of them all together. You might want to clean some of those off, but you want to have a little bit of variation with different colors in there. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the yellow and I'm going to flick it. Okay, you can test it first on a piece of paper or something, okay, and see how it comes out, so we have an idea. All right, but what I did is I thickened the paint a little bit. Remember we did a wash? So what I did is I just added a drop of paint to each thing to make it a little bit thicker with paint and not so runny. Okay, because you want that to catch. All right, so you want to make that paint mix a little bit thicker, not too thin, not too thick. You know, just like right in the middle. You can test it, like I said, in a piece of paper before you do it. All right, the same thing again. You're going to protect each layer that you do with the clear coat. All right, and you're going to spray it on. I'm not going to do the red because the red I'm happy. If you're not happy with the red, the way you did it, doesn't come out the same way that I did it, then go ahead and do the red. But I'm doing yellow, blue, and brown. Okay, here we go. One thing I want to clarify before we get started with the next one is that always don't put this stuff on unless if your paint is wet. Always got to be dry. Make sure that it's dry, anything that you do before you put this stuff on. And before you start a new layer after you did that, make sure that the clear coat is dry. Don't go starting with wet because you're going to ruin everything that you did. Because that stuff, if it's still wet when you touch it, with anything, with your hands or with a brush or anything else, you're just going to ruin the work that you did. It's going to go right through everything. Trust me when I tell you. And you're going to be very mad. So make sure that everything is dry. I've been going downstairs, spraying. By the time I come up, you know, I got 4 flights of stairs. I'm on the 4th floor right now. And I got 4 flights of stairs to go down. And by the time I come up here, it's already dry. All right. So, but if it still feels so wet, I have a hair dryer, and I'll run the hair dryer over it for a little bit, and just to make sure that it's dry. Okay. Always make sure that it's dry before you start your new layer. After you clear coat it, don't touch it. Make sure that the paint, before you put the clear coat on, it is dry. It's fully dry. Run the hair dryer on it before. Like I said, it's very hot here today. I got the fan going, the air conditioner going behind in the background. So you probably hear all that noise and stuff. But okay, so I can see the little yellow variations in there that we did. Now I'm going to go with the blue. So I'm going to protect this again, and then we're going to do pastels, a little shadowing. And then after that, we're going to keep going and putting more layers in. All right? I'm going to blend everything all together. So let me clean this up and let me get everything ready for doing the pastels, and then we'll get to that. Okay? So I clear coated, protected what we did. Okay. And now I'm going to start with pastels. All right. So don't forget that you're going to use a different type of clear coat this time. All right. This is good stuff for the pastel, so it doesn't like melt all the way away. And this stuff works pretty good. Okay. All right. So if you're going to use pastel, I recommend this one. All right. So give it a try if you want. Works pretty good. All right. So the first color I'm going to start with is that. Make sure I get the right one out here. It's the red iron oxide from Pan Pastels. That's the one that I use a lot to do shading and stuff like that. Alright. So if you want to follow along with that too, we did that also in the last video. So I'm going to use like a smaller brush. Here we go. And I'm going to start. purple. This is Magenta Extra Dark. And that's the color. Right. And we're just going to do underneath the eyes that color. Going to put the original color, the tan flesh, okay, from Pro Acro. Okay, that's the original color that we put down in the beginning. We're just going to go very lightly, and then from far away. All right, we're going to put a quick layer down just to blend everything into together. You don't want to cover up all of what you did. So what I did is I thinned down the paint just a little bit more than put an extra drop of thinner in the paint mix to do over, okay? Because I want to look a little more translucent. So I want to cover up all the stuff that we did. It's going to cover up some of it, but not all of it. Some of the stuff is going to show, okay? Everything that we did before. So nice and lightly from far away, hit it until you feel comfortable with what you have, because you're still going to have to put in a little bit more shadow and highlights, okay? So you still have to do that. So, you know, like I said, don't put too much in there. And then if you need to give it a little bit more oomph to the color, I got a little trick for that too that we did the last time also. So from far away, just spray up and down and, you know, side by side, and you know, see where you're at with the color. But you remember, you still have to put highlights and some shadowing, and you still can go back with the pastels if you have to. All right, so don't go too crazy with the spraying over on this stuff, okay? All right, so here we go. Okay, so there's a couple things I want to accentuate on the face. I want to go back in and do a little shadows like on by the nose over here, and maybe here, underneath the eyes a little bit, right here, underneath the eyebrows, and do a little more purple here. I think everything else looks good. I don't think nothing else needs any more. Don't want to overdo it, you know what I mean? Because I still have to do the highlights and the shadows with the Nocturna series Vallejo colors, which, you know, we talked about before. I want to use a couple of those colors to do the highlight and the shadows and stuff like that. So let me go in here and do a little shadowing. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to spray this with the top coat for the that I use for the pastels, and then we'll come back and then we'll overspray with the highlights and the shadows. Okay, so let me go put this away, bulk mix these things up, and then I'll see you guys in a little bit. thinking about before we start with the next phase, which is the highlight and shading, is that I want to clarify that where you are with this kit as you go along. This is a tutorial, but more it's like it's a process. You follow the process along, but depending on what your results you get per step is how you're going to go about the next step. And I just want to clarify that because sometimes you're going to see me that I'm not going to go as in depth about certain things because I feel like I have to take a step back. And like, for example, here I don't think that it needs any more shading than what it has. And the reason why I'm saying that is just that I'm pretty happy with the shading that she has right now. I don't know if you can see some of that, but so I'm going to concentrate a little bit more on the highlights and not so much the shading. If you're going to do any if you need more shading in this for what we're at with this right now, is you're going to want to pick a color that's a little bit darker in the shade. Like I have these nocturne colors, and I have a natural flesh, and then I have like a reddish flesh. And those two colors I will use more for shading, and I will hit that from the bottom if I need it. And if I need it after I do the highlights, then yeah, then maybe and then I have to go back and forth maybe with both. But as of right now with the shading, I'm pretty happy with it. You got to also look at the character and the way the character is being portrayed here, and she's leaning forward, so her face is going to be leaning forward more towards the light. So a lot of shading shouldn't really be there because she's exposing her face more towards the light. The light's coming from the top this way, and that's how I'm going to highlight her face right now. So those are things that I want you to take a look at. There's also the position of the character and how you're going to portray that. And then as you practice and you get better down the road, then you can mess around with the lighting and which way you want to light the character and where you want the highlights and the shading more and things like that. If you want it more pronounced. When you see the mini painters, this is totally different than what mini painters do. Mini painters have to accentuate those highlights and those shadows and things like that, contrast and all that. So they're more concentrating on more producing more highlights than what I do here because this is a larger piece and I'm going more for a realistic look than what many painters go for and things like that. Let me see if I can get the light a little better there. You can probably see that. So you see how I shaded her forehead a little bit and things like that. So I'll show pictures too, as like I've been showing with the process as you go along, so you get a better picture of what's going on with that. But like I said, she's exposing her face forward here on this pose that she has. So her face is going to be exposed more to the lighting. So what I want to do is I want to accentuate the lighting a little bit with the highlights. So I have 3 colors from the Nocturna series here, and I have White Flesh, which is the lighter, not really, this one is the lightest one. Highlight Skin. Okay, this is the lighter one of the 3 that I have here. This one has a little bit of a pink tone into it, which is White Flesh. It's got a little pink in it. And this one has a little bit more of a fleshy tone, which is the Fairy Flesh. It's also very light. So Fairy Flesh is I think it's a little bit too dark for what I want. And I don't want to go too light with the highlight. So I'm going to go right in the middle, and I want to pick White Flesh, and that's the color that I'm going to use to highlight this part. Alright, so like I said, I just want to make sure that you guys make that decision on your own to where you're at, and you get the feel, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be happy with the outcome of this. So as you go along, and if you see that something is needed more than the other, I'm just giving you the process of how to do it, and how I go about it. So how you feel where you're at that time when you're doing this, it's then you proceed to the next step. Sometimes you might be able to skip a step or whatnot, but I'm just giving you the process of how I do it, and so far I'm happy with the outcome of it. Don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to put it out there. This is for beginners, like I said. So you're gonna get compliments, you're gonna get critiqued, you're gonna get some critiques where you're gonna be like, oh my god, or whatever. But take that with a grain of salt. If you want to expose yourself out there and you're happy with your outcome, then go ahead and do it. Always try to do better the next time, or do something different. Don't be afraid to do those things. Don't be afraid to, to put it out there for somebody to give you some pointers or whatever. I do that all the time. I get critiqued, good or bad. You know, sometimes you get constructive criticism where where you can learn something or try to do something a little different. Like I told you guys before, I got critiqued with one-on-ones that I did the eyes, and after I realized I posted it, I realized that the eyes didn't come out that good. And, you take that criticism the way you want to take it. So I always say constructive criticism is good. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't take it to heart. This is something. You got guys out there that have amazing skill in painting and stuff like that. And sometimes, some people criticize them too. Not in a bad way, but, they get critiqued. Alright, so, like I said, over here, I'm just going to highlight from the top with the airbrush to try to get some of those highlights in here and tone down some of the shades that I did before. But I want them still to be there. So, and again, I might come back down from the bottom doing some shading, depending on how much highlight I put in. But this is a process. You're gonna put down color very nice and lightly, far away, and you're gonna see where the paint lands and what kind of effects does it get. And then once you're happy with that, you can move on to the next step. All right, but that's how I'm gonna start doing it. I'm gonna start doing it again. The airbrush. You're gonna have to learn how to control the airbrush. You gotta practice on a piece of paper and stuff like that. But you're gonna see that I'm not doing close, or I'm not putting a lot of paint. I'm just sprinting paint as I go along and try to get these high points from this angle. Okay. There we go. So I'm gonna be, from over here. So that's why I angled the camera a little bit. So this way, you get an idea where the distance is where I'm spraying. All right. Too much, going to change the whole look of the kit, the way she looks. And right there, she's going to be warmed up, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that with a different color. We did this before. I used the Createx, the transparent bright flesh, and that's how you're going to warm it up a little bit. You can't go too strong with that, but I want to give this maybe a couple squirts. All right, so we're going to use to warm it up a little bit. We're going to use bright flesh by Garage Kits US. All right, so let me fix this a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just give it from far away. This stuff is really strong and is going to grab really quick. It gives it like a really dark pink. I hate this lighting. It's going to give it like a nice, really dark pink color like that, but it's transparent, so you can do it. You got to do it from far away. I just give it like a little bit of tone. It just warms it up. That's all this stuff does. It just warms it up a little bit. I don't want to go too strong. If I have to go back again, then we'll do it again. But I'm pretty happy right there where it is at. So, okay. So let me clean the airbrush. And we're going to highlight it again. I'm going to highlight a little bit more. This time with the lighter color, and that is the highlight skin from Nocturne. Okay. So let me get that prep going. Let's go. A little bit more diluted. Remember, you don't want it runny. You want it to actually adhere. But I want it a little more translucent, so I'm going to go a little bit thinner than what I usually do. video, so you get a better idea. I'm really liking that color. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave it like that for now. I think it's a little too bright, but once you spray the top coat on it to protect it, it's gonna. Right now, like paint is like hot. You know, it's like very just put on there and everything. You put the top coat, what it does is just it'll bring it down a little bit, and then take a look and see where you want to go with the next step. If you need to warm it up again with the garage kit, maybe throw in a little warm color in there if you think it's too bright, or you can leave it like that and start going with some with the brush and start warming it up with some other colors like we did the last time. And we'll take a look. Let me spray it, take a look and see where we're at, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so once again, just to warm it up a little bit, I'm going to go with the Garage Kit Transparent Bright Flourish. And put that away here. And I already put some in the cup, cleaned the airbrush before. And let me just hit it a little bit. Just a little bit, just to warm it up a little bit. It's just a little too bright for my liking. Alright. So I'm just going to warm up that tone a little bit. Everything's starting to look really good. It's just a little bit more. Just a little bit more of a warm tone I want on that. Alright. And then if I want to highlight a little bit more, instead of using paint, you can always use that's good right there. That's perfect. See, I didn't need a lot. Just need a little bit just to tone it down a little bit. What I'm going to use now, I think, is I'm going to use the pastels to highlight it and tone it just to the right color that I want. Alright. I think she's at right where I want it. And just to highlight a couple areas, I'm just going to use pastels. And I want to touch it. That's going to be something new. You guys didn't see the last time. Okay, so we got the hand pastels, my brushes for those, and I'm using the flesh tone set. Seal it, and then if I have to go back again, like I said, you know, the sealer is gonna, what the sealer is gonna do is it's gonna warm it up. It's gonna tone it down a little bit. So I'll be right back. Let me go seal this and see how it comes out. I'm going to seal it again, don't forget, with a different sealer. Okay, and I'll be right back. Alright, so next I have a little bit of an ink, a muted pink, and this is going to be very well diluted. I'm going to Give it a little blood on the lips, and then underneath the nose and the cheeks. Maybe a little bit on the forehead where the frown is. Just to give it a little bit of... Alright. The way I want to do that is I'm going to put a little bit of flour and chlorine in it. You're going to use a brush, and you're going to use a filbert brush for paint. Don't use the same one they use for your pastels. What I think it needs to go next, I think I'm going to paint the hair. Because once you paint the hair, it'll give you like a good idea where your skin tone is at. So, you know, she has very dark brown hair. So what I'm going to do is going to go in with a black black brown color first for the top coat for the hair. Let's clean up the brush and let's do the eyebrows. I'm gonna have to put the light on over here a little bit stronger, guys. I'm sorry, but there she is. Okay, she's getting there. Touch up some of the hair with a little better fine brush, but I didn't know what was there here. So maybe wet the brush a little bit, get some of that paint. thin it down so the white doesn't show through the white when I do the white. Just a little black on the side over there. I'll probably have to touch this up again once I get the white in. Okay. Before I seal it, I want to do some pink for the lips. Use the same brush. Natural Lip by Createx Tin Gores Colors. You can use any other pink. This is just already mixed in, so it's easy for me to grab it. You can mix your own. You get your flesh tone, light flesh tone. Go with a little red, or just try to get a pink color to your desire. And get it in there. Just a little drop. I want to glaze it on there and see what it looks like. Just get a little water, a little dirty water. Get it in there. Nice and thin. There we go. Look at the color there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to come back with the plum in there, but I just wasn't happy the way it looked. Just the color. I think I need a little bit of color below it, and it just didn't come out right. I just wasn't happy with it. This is a little better. And then I'll go over it with the ink again and try to get that color popping a little bit. That's much better right there. So I'm going to seal it. Give me a second here. Oh, okay. Let's take a break. I'm going to seal it now because I got somebody at the door. I might as well bring it down with me. Alright, could be back in a little bit. Okay, so we're back, and then since the last time, what I did, I didn't have the camera on. I apologize about that, but I only touched up the hair and painted the little whites in the eyes around the black that I did before. That's about it. So what we're gonna do next is I have pastel colors that I think that'll look good on her dress, and we're gonna paint that, and then the little collars I think are gonna be like an off-white, and then we'll do a wash over that, and then hopefully we'll do the jacket and we'll get closer to finishing up the kit. Alright, so let's get on to that, and I'll paint this with the pastel color, which is from AK Interactive. I had these for a while. I had the whole, it's like 5-color or 6-color set from pastel colors. I was going to use it for another project, but I never did. I never used them, so this is the first time I'm going to use it. It's a pink color. It's from AK Interactive. Okay? Got the pink on, right? Starting to look good, right? Right. I'm putting pictures up as I get done with stuff, and All right, so since this is above, see, I start from the inside out whenever you do painting. I didn't want to start with the jacket because then I'm going to have my hands all over the jacket while I'm trying to do the detail, and it's harder for you to do it the other way. For me, you can do it any way you want, but this is the easiest way that I find ever to do everything. You always do from the inside out, and it seems to work pretty good for me doing that way. So it's when you're not touching or going over anything that you already painted or anything like that. So right now I got this. That's how I have it. This is the inside out. I'm going with the pink, and now I'm going to go do the off-white on her collar. I'm gonna have to use a smaller brush to get in there, but let me do the broader stuff with the bigger brush. Okay, so the color I'm going to use for the off-white is one of my favorite ones. Is White Sands from Scale Color. All right, it's got a nice. I have an off-white from Vallejo. That's too white. And then I have another one from Vallejo too, from their game color, which is like a bone white. That's too much tan in it, I think. I don't want to go that route. Same thing with this one has bone white. It's got a little too much. I don't know. Let me see. It's about the same as the bone white, the air one, versus the bone white. Sorry about that. That's the bone white game color. I think they're both the same. They're just one thinner than the other. Because one goes for the airbrush and the other one. I think that's it. I got some light grays and stuff. And you can make your own. Yeah, but I got Titan Buff from. Let me see that. That's too tan. This is golden colors. These are really good colors too. This stuff is pretty good. I suggest you try them out for the airbrush. All right, they're very thin. So let me use this. Then we're gonna do a wash anyway. So I'm just gonna give you some of that dirty look. So let's use this bone white. I use it for the eyes. This White Sands for the eyes. For a lot of stuff. Okay. Know how to get that inside of that collar a little bit because it's flopping down a little bit. Gotta get in there. Just put some paint in there. It's looking good. Alright. Let me pause this. I'm gonna seal it once it dries. We'll put the hair dryer on it. And then come back and we'll do a wash. No, not yet. Shall we? Let me think about it while I go, and then we'll figure out what we do next. Okay? Is that fair? I'm gonna go with the blue. The jacket. I pull out some blues here. I figured these are too bright. I don't want to make it too bright. I want to keep it, the fabric is not a denim. It's like a tighter fabric, a smoother fabric, so I'm going to go with this blue here, which is AK Interactive, dark blue for down, and then I'm going to highlight with the deep blue, which is a little bit of lighter color than that. I will see how that goes. So next what we're going to do, I'm going to take a picture of that. Next what we're going to do is we're going to seal it, walk the dogs, and come back and finish up doing the highlights and stuff on the jacket. Like I said before, we're going to do a little bit of highlighting, but I want to protect it with silly putty. Okay. Brush to push stuff in certain areas, or a sculpting tool. What I'm going to use are dry brushes. These are by Army Painter. All right, and what you want to do is just damp. Okay. I also have Artist Opus dry brushes, but I'm going to use these for now. These are the ones I have out. Okay. Just a little drop of water. Too much. Way too much. Get most of the paint out. Just keep this damp. Use deeper. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the deep blue there. Might go a little bit lighter too in some other spots, but let's go with this one first. Alright, so I'm going to dip the paint. Dry. Get most of that paint out. I'm going to have to go lighter on the blue. Go a little bit of lighter blue on that. Looks a little bit dark to me. See? Barely any paint.
Daddy, that Oreos?
Alright, sorry. So, you're not going to just gently on top of the area they paint, very gently. What do you want to do? I think I want to go lighter. It's not bringing anything, hardly anything Okay, I'm going to coat it a wash. I'm going to use the Citadel Agrex Earthshade. And I'm going to go over all the clothing. Just the clothing. Alright? We'll go very quick. A little blouse, because I think I got enough in there. I don't want to overdo it. And that looks dirty. Yeah, she looks dirty now. It looks definitely going to need a little bit of highlight on her blouse. There you go. That looks good. Just give that a little bit of wash. It's covered at least, you know, little trick. This little spot here and there, you cover it with a little shade, you know, like that. It's really good. I'll take a picture of that so you guys can see it better. See, I darkened it up a little bit. Yeah. Alright. I'll be back. I'm going to seal it. Okay, so now I want to do a little bit of highlights. I'm going to go with the pink again, that pastel pink. Oops. Okay. And I'm going to do the shirt. Just a little bit. Not crazy. Just go over it real quick. Just give it a couple of spots. I'm going to use a small one. There we go. I always test it on my skin first. I'm going to go against the grain a little bit. Just a little bit. Just to give it a little bit of highlight. Just get the high pop spots. That's it. Right there. That's all I'm doing. Boom. Done. Just to bring those colors out back. Up just a little bit. It still looks dirty. Which is good. That's the effect that I was looking for. Right. It just brings her color out just a little bit. I'm going to do the base. I'm going to use the from Createx. It's called Blood Trauma Umber. It's pretty dark brown. It's got like a nice yucky color to it, so I think it'll look good for the base because the base is part of the. Put this on the side here. Part of the upside down. So, and this stuff is pretty thin, so it should brush pretty well. Let's do it. next we're going to do the eyes. I'm going to use decals. I want to call it cheating, whatever. But these are the Archer eyes. These are quarter scale. And I'm using the brown. Okay. And I already got these cut off. So all I got to do is just put them in place and, you know, wet it, get them in place where I want to put them. And we'll go from there. Yeah. See, I just barely pick them up. I'll put them in the corner of the eye. And grab the brush and I'll start wetting the decal and then push it out. Now the shine for the eye. So she's looking towards like this way, towards the right. I'm going to put the shine towards that right. Okay. Sure. Alright, I'll post pictures up, guys. Only on that base. I think it's wet, so I'm just gonna lay it on there right there. I gotta finish the base. Okay. Hope you guys learned something today. And I hope to see you again next time. Any questions? Leave the comments below. Check the links out and all that stuff like that. If you liked it, hit the like button. I'm okay with that. And hope you enjoy this and hope you learn something. All right. Have a great day. Thanks.